1039 LI News Radio.
And we are back at 8:09. It is now time for our Spotlight segment on Long Island. And with that, we have Mr. John Becker. John Becker, of course, the president of the Deputy Sheriff's Police Benevolent Association, as well as Arthur Sanchez. He is the first vice president. Both join me in studio as a federal lawsuit now has been levied against Suffolk County. Millions of dollars in deferred compensation that the PBA says the county actually owes its members. And we welcome John and Arthur to our program. And good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Jay. Thanks for having us.
Great to have you aboard. John Becker, this lawsuit was just filed, a couple of weeks ago, correct?
Yes, we just filed this lawsuit. The idea behind this lawsuit is to reclaim $4 million that is owed to us as part of an agreement we had dating back from 2011.
And pretty much the suit claims, Arthur Sanchez, that the county executive here, Steve Bellone, the administration is actually withholding the pay and accusing the county, the sheriff's union, of refusing to negotiate a contract pretty much over the past 5 years. Is that true?
That is their claim. Just to let you know, there's two separate issues involved here. Obviously, we've been out of contract for going on 6 years. We're in our 6th year without a contract.
Right.
Separate with then the memorandum of agreement that they have violated twice now. One by taking our members off of the highway patrol, and now refusing to pay back the $4 million that was due December 31st of last year. And
with the not really willing to negotiate, John, and this is all about free speech under the 14th Amendment as well as the First Amendment, and really the suit seeks these damages along with the $4 million, as you have said, in retroactive play. Plus, there's interest involved there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not only seeking to reclaim the $4 million, but we're also looking to get interest, is the statutory 9% interest, attorney fees, punitive damages. Basically, now the taxpayers of Suffolk County are going to have to pay more simply because the county didn't return the money when they were supposed to. When this agreement was first violated in 2012, as per the Suffolk County Police PBA contract, they returned the police department back onto the highway patrols, which violated the agreement and set this in motion. But when the county made the decision to do that, they never returned the money. And in the agreement, it states that the money was due to be paid prior to December 31st of 2015. That did not happen. So the county now has started the clock on this 9% interest. So the taxpayers are going to pay more money simply because the county didn't return the money when they were supposed to.
Let's go back in time a little bit, Arthur Sanchez, and kind of tell the audience a little bit of the story here. I think it was back in 2008, if I remember correctly. That's when you had a lot of controversy here. And that's when you had the sheriff's deputies actually patrol the highways, the LIE, Sunrise. And that was all done under the former county executive, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken, Arthur, in Steve Levy. You know, it was kind of maybe a less, let's put it that, maybe an alternative, let's say, as far as to the county officers. And let's keep in mind, you guys haven't had a raise in 6 years. That's a point of contention. And let's also point out that some of the top scale sheriff's deputies make a lot less in base pay than some of the regular police officers there. So that also is a point of contention.
Yes, absolutely, Jay. And I just want to take this moment to thank the members. They're unprecedented 6 years without a contract, and they continue to perform their duties in the with the utmost professionalism, day in and day out. They leave their families every day. We don bulletproof vests, utility guns, our gun belts to go to work. And to us, the primary one of our primary goals is to make sure our members get back home, the condition they came to work, safe. But yes, so under the previous county executive, Levy, the sheriff assigned us to patrol the highways, Sunrise Highway and the Long Island Expressway.
And by the way, that was through what, 2017, right?
Well, the MOA agreement, yes. It was till the end of 2017, absolutely.
And that's, John, that's always a tough one. When you have a regime change, we saw it with the AME union under a previous president, taken over last summer by the new regime. New contract. This always, it's always a little hazy in these contract negotiations, and that's always a tough one that you're going to be up against.
Yeah, one of the things when I became president in 2014, you want to have certain accomplishments for the membership, but one of the things you don't want is to be 6 years without a contract while you're president. So we've been very vocal against the administration in dealing with us and negotiating not only highway and negotiating a collective bargaining agreement, but just to get back to why the decision was made back under the Levy administration, put the deputy sheriffs out there. At the time, the average person would hear that a deputy sheriff makes less than a Suffolk County police officer.
Right.
But most people don't know exactly what that is. Well, right now, the base pay of a Suffolk County police officer is $64,000 less than a deputy sheriff. So, I mean, when you look at the difference in pay, you have the base pay of Suffolk County Police at $139,000. The base pay of a Suffolk County deputy sheriff is $75,000. And yet, when Steve Ballone came into office, his first order of business was to put the police department back onto those roadways. So, at the same time declaring a fiscal emergency in the county. It simply doesn't make any sense. If there's a fiscal crisis, why are you removing lower paid officers off that roadway and then making us go through the legal system to get back on there?
Yeah. There's a lot of contentious points here. More to do with John Becker and Arthur Sanchez.
LI in the AM, telling Long Island's story on air and online at linewsradio.com.
And we're back at 8:21. We're talking with John Becker. He's the president of the Suffolk County Deputy Sheriff's Police Benevolent Association. Arthur Sanchez as well, first vice president. We're all talking about the lawsuit regarding the union with Suffolk County, the Steve Ballone administration. It kind of happened way back in 2011. That's when the DSPBA signed this agreement with the county. It was under the leadership of Steve Levy. They agreed to defer some $4 million in retroactive pay from an arbitration decision. That was from a couple of years prior. And in the agreement, the DSPBA would continue to patrol the LIE, Sunrise Highway, and that until December of next year. That's 2017. Along with some other job protections involved here. And it kind of all changed, when Steve Ballone basically came into play here in 2012. What happens back then, if you can remember, they negotiated with a contract with the PBA, Suffolk PBA, a pretty hefty hike of pay, 28%, and thus returning the highway patrol back to the police department. So in essence, John, it's a complete violation of the agreement that you had back in 2011.
Yeah, it was an absolute violation of the agreement. And, they entered into this contract with the PBA knowing this agreement was in place. And their justification for it is that they felt it was not a valid agreement. However, if it's not a valid agreement, why have you held on to the money? I mean, that seems to go against the basic principles of what an agreement is. If you didn't live up to your end of it, why not return the money? We now have to sue for money that we've rightfully earned. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and you're talking, you're not talking just a few shekels here. We're talking about a $64,000 differential above the base pay of a deputy sheriff, what the regular Suffolk County police officer makes. Which certainly would rankle many. And, listen, the county basically stated, Arthur, that they would negotiate with the deputy sheriff's PBA, a settlement for highway, and really accelerate the payment of that $4 million. Nothing has really come to fruition in that regard, correct?
That's correct. I don't know that they understand how negotiations work, but obviously you start at one point and then you meet somewhere in the middle. That has not happened. And again, we're talking about two separate issues here. Just to reiterate that, the $4 million and the MOA violation is separate from contract negotiations.
Yeah, and John, one of the things we have heard from the county executive is, hey, you know what? We're in a financial crisis here, thus that $4 million is certainly a question. You've heard that before, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it goes back to, why then, if we are in a financial crisis, would you take off the much lower paid officers off of those roadways? And the other thing that we found very striking in the position of the county was when this federal lawsuit was filed, the county made a statement to the media that they were not going to be bullied into a contract, and to take the position that our 250-member union are the ones who were the bullies it's a very odd position to take. We are the ones that are 6 years without a contract. We are the ones that have had our money unlawfully withheld. So to suggest that we're the ones that are being bullies simply for speaking out against something that's unjust, I don't know how that passes the straight face test.
Now, Arthur, this thing has gone to the Supreme Court, correct? Was the lawsuit filed in Supreme Court?
Yes, the original lawsuit for the highway issue was in state Supreme Court. It's now in the appellate division. The lawsuit recently filed in federal court. Yes.
All right. So in essence, that has been there, and pretty much the judge, John, ruled that it's a valid deal here as far
absolutely.
as the suit.
Yeah, Judge Mayer ruled that the agreement made in 2011 was in fact a valid agreement. He ordered the parties to go to arbitration. However, the county appealed that decision. And what they've been successful in doing is
delaying
at every
everything.
turn in just delaying this process because they know the agreement ends in December of 2017. So the tactic there is appeal, delay, and it forces our union to utilize our resources to keep fighting it.
All right, you guys going to hang a few more minutes, another segment or so? Yeah. We'll take care of the finality of it all with this whole thing. John Becker, Arthur Sanchez with us from the Suffolk County Deputy Sheriff's Police Benevolent Association.
This is LI in the AM with Jay Oliver. News, traffic, weather, and more. 103.9 LI News Radio.
And we're continuing for another couple of minutes. We have John Becker. He's the president of the Suffolk County Deputy Sheriff's Police Benevolent Association. Arthur Sanchez, first vice president, the Sheriff's Union, filing the federal lawsuit against the county a couple of weeks ago. Union claims, well, they're owed a lot of money, millions of dollars, and the county of Suffolk really failing to honor the agreement. County says, you know what, I disagree. And pretty much it all goes back to the Steve Levy administration back in 2011. Pretty much ensuring that the deputy sheriffs would continue to patrol some of the big highways, the Expressway, Sunrise Highway, that through 2017. In exchange, the deputy sheriffs agreed to defer half of their $8 million patrolling payout deal, and that until, December 2015, I think it was, John. So in essence, the lawsuit claims that the Malone administration is withholding the pay. I mean, how much of this, now I know there wasn't a lot of support, the re-election and everything, is this what we call political retaliation in the business, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, Jay. I mean, and that's really the other part of the lawsuit. In addition to the $4 million, we're alleging political retaliation on the part of the county executive. When you look at what's going on here in Suffolk County, where you have other unions we're giving long-term deals. You have the
you have the AME and you have the corrections.
Correct.
Right?
Basically, we're not asking for special treatment. We're asking to be treated the same as all the other unions were treated. If the county was able to negotiate long-term deals with all the other unions, why are we any different? Why is it they should say, well, if you're not happy, you can go to arbitration? Well, we were told the reason that they negotiated these long-term deals was to avoid arbitration because who knows what the arbitrator was going to award. So why is it now when we're up to bat, it's a different story?
Yeah, I mean, Arthur, as we mentioned, this thing has gone to the Supreme Court. The judge there said, you know what, this is a valid lawsuit. The county tried to get it thrown out. Not the case, according to the judge. When do you think he might render some sort of information to you guys?
Well, we don't know the timeline. Like I said, it's in the. They appealed the decision. The decision came out in our favor, not once but twice, actually, because they originally appealed Judge Mayer's Supreme Court Justice's decision. So now we're just waiting to get a date for oral arguments in the appellate division. It's been fully submitted to that, and that's what we await for. Hopefully, by the end of this year, we're hoping, to get some decision from the appellate division.
John Becker, you and I spoke at the break, 20 minutes or so ago. Sometimes a particular incident can kind of put a shadow over an entire administration. I'm talking about the Ed Walsh case that's happening, the rendering of his judgment against his conviction. The situation regarding Vince DeMarco, it has not been pretty when you read about it. You know, if you're a resident of the county, you know, you're wondering what the heck's going on. You got a guy who's playing golf and gambling and doing all kinds of things on county time. Doesn't bode well. You get a lawsuit like this. I mean, how much does a judge look at something like this? I mean, he has to separate a lot of different things here. The main thing is this is a particular lawsuit against the entire union. He has to separate that whole Walsh thing. It's not a pretty situation, but somehow he has to divide it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the unfortunate thing is when you have something like Chief Burke or what's going on here in the sheriff's office with Ed Walsh, the unfortunate thing is all of law enforcement gets painted with a negative brush. You know, whether you're the police officer in the sector car, you're the deputy sheriff, you're the corrections officer, probation officer, what have you. The public looks at it all, you know, in the same light, and that's unfortunate. And the average guy that goes to work every day does a great job for the people of Suffolk County. They feel the negative aspect of that, and that's what's unfortunate. It's Newsday and all the other media will print these articles and stuff, but we're the one that pays the price for it.
And in essence, you know, Arthur Sanchez, you're talking about a $64,000 differential in pay. And that between a Suffolk police officer and a sheriff's deputy, pretty much. I mean, that's a large number there.
Yeah, correct. That's unfortunate for us. We don't want to be, have that such a big disparity. Obviously, it's our job to get, the best contract we can for our members. And yeah, but the facts are the facts, and those are the numbers.
John, in summation, I mean, are you confident? I mean, you know what happened with the AME union, Suffolk's largest union. You know what happened with the corrections union. You know that some positive things came out there. Do you have some sort of confidence here that in negotiations something can be worked out here, or no? Well,
we hope so. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want to go down the road of litigation. You know, you'd like to be able to sit down and negotiate a contract and negotiate this highway issue, and that's where we'd like to see things, happen. But it has to be a willingness on both parties for that to take place.
All right, John Becker, ladies and gentlemen, Arthur Sanchez, both from the Suffolk County Department Sheriff's Police Benevolent Association. They're going to keep us posted and abreast of what happens in weeks ahead. Hopefully something good happens, obviously.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us, Jay.
All right.
Yes, thank you, Jay.
You got it? All right.
Yes, thank you, Jay.